Hello and thanks for checking out ChartGuys.com. We're proud to be one of the most successful technical analysis communities online, teaching you the skills to become a more confident, effective, and informed trader. Join our community of hundreds of analysts worldwide working together to learn the charts, generate profit, and achieve financial independence. For access to daily live chart analysis and market coverage, a thriving chat community, along with dozens of hours of exclusive educational materials. We look forward to seeing you. Let's check out some charts. Hello everyone, so we're going to be looking at USMJ names, and there's a couple things that I want to point out. We're going to be looking at a whole bunch of tickers here. First off, this is my initial analysis of these names. So I've been following USMJ for 8 years at this point. I knew everything about all the companies, all the officers of the companies, everything about them when there was only 8 of them. Now there's obviously a ton more. It's a lot more in-depth. So this is starting my initial round of research. I will narrow down the charts that I like the best and the companies that I think are worthwhile watching in terms of a trading standpoint. From there, I'll go and look at what each individual company does, what states they are in, whether they're Canadian and USMJ, just USMJ, get a little bit more information on the fundamentals. And from there, I will determine which names I want to trade, if I want to take any long positions. But the bottom line is you have to hone in because you can't do the kind of due diligence that you need to do on all these tickers unless you have dozens and dozens of hours. So you do have to limit it down, and that's why I like using the charts and using just the trade setups alone, not knowing anything about the individual fundamentals in order to narrow it down as the first round of elimination. So if you are looking to invest, there's some things that you need to research first. You need to understand share structure and debt structure. You need to understand convertible debt and dilution. Those are 4 things that you need to be looking on Investopedia, watching videos on, reading articles on, because those are more important than the fundamentals of the company, in my opinion. I've seen so many companies that have been around for a long time, MJNA, TRTC, HEMP, ERRB, ERBB, GRNH, and they have been around for 8 years and have not been in a favorable business environment. They're not profitable companies, so they have to pay their officers' salaries, they have to pay for deals, they have to pay for keeping the lights on through shares, and those shares lead to dilution, and that leads to the stock price under pressure over time. And reverse splits and just an endless cycle where, again, it doesn't matter the story. The company in their press releases is going to spin to you exactly what you want to hear because that is their job. And you need to be skeptical and look under the hood. Looking under the hood is reading financials and understanding them. And those words are essential to understanding. There's other things that I'm going to be looking at. I'm going to be looking at dollar volume on these stocks. If the stock is trading $100,000, I'm not going to be very interested in it if that is daily volume. Bare minimum for me, ideally, is $1 million. Some of these names are the dual listed tickers for Canadian tickers that have more dollar volume. That's a bit of research you need to do as well. Some of these tickers are only US tickers, but there are a bunch of Canadian tickers in this list. So you need to look those up as well, see what exchanges they are traded on and where that dollar volume is. And that's about it for the intro. So let's just get right into these names. And one thing that I'm looking for is setups where the support levels are very clear, where resistance levels are very clear, where the bulls have full control, or just general good-looking setup. So what I have here is the first 3, 6, 9 names. I'm liking the setup. And then from there, they get kind of to not that great. So I rank them in that, not one by one, but just good-looking charts and charts I'm not so pumped about. So here for the first one, CNNRF. What I'm looking at is a weekly time frame that had a big breakout and then long drawn-out consolidation of just lower highs, lower lows, volume declining, not a whole lot going on, but now we have broken the lower high pattern. When we break the lower high pattern, we look to form a higher low on the initial consolidation. And the bulls will confirm that they're taking back over this trend with lower highs and lower lows. Now we have broken the lower highs. We're forming our higher low of consolidation, and then we're going to look for continuation and a break of 368 for confirmation that the bulls are back in full control. After 368, it's 408 and 458. So again, these tickers are going to be really low cap names. They're going to move significant percentages. You have to attribute the amount of capital with a very high risk, high reward mindset on this position where absolutely you could lose 20%, 30%, unless you got tight stop loss levels and you're managing your positions really closely. That's definitely a factor. Obviously, this is a news-driven sector. We're going to be heading into prime time for Canadian MJ in the next few months, and then we're looking at USMJ to start to see things shift as well. And it's been a slow road, but definitely things picking up. So those are all events that we need to be aware of as well. So a little off track. So higher low on the weekly time frame is anticipated. The daily chart right now, we can see the big bull move, and these details are nice because we can see it's not a ton of bull volume. There is a decent amount of bear volume on that consolidation. So we want to be patient and ensure that the bulls can form a daily higher low. Right now, the support down here is 275. And I'm not sure that we're done consolidating just yet on this little pullback because we've been pulling back so hard the last week and a half, 2 weeks. But we are looking for an entry because we are anticipating this weekly higher low to form and for then continuation for the bulls to show back up. So the daily chart pulling back, we're looking for a higher low in this range. Support right now is 320, and that's a double bottom. If 320 can hold and we get a bull break of this daily inside bar to start the week, that's a pretty decent low risk, low reward trade, or low risk, high reward potential trade where we stop out of 320 breaks and the bulls can potentially see their continuation move and get over 368. So about a 10-cent risk and maybe a 30+ cent reward. So that's a trade setup we're watching on CNNRF, definitely on watch. ITHUF, weekly time frame, same thing. So a breakout, long drawn out consolidation. And then 2 weeks ago, the bull said, all right, we're done consolidating, bulls showing up. And now we're looking for this higher low. We broke some lower highs on this move. Now we're looking for a higher low and then the higher high to confirm. So a very similar setup. A lot of these names do definitely see some correlation. And back to the weekly, that resistance that we need to break for continuation is 354. And looking at the daily chart, the ideal level for the bulls to hold would be $3 and to keep that higher low and for the bulls to show back up. So again, the close at the high of the day on Friday, the bulls looking to head up to the first resistance, 345 and then 354. And if the bulls can break those levels, they will confirm the trend change. So here's what it looks like on the daily. Lower highs, lower lows, long drawn out consolidation. We went 3 weeks without a green day there. And then we had our higher low, broke the lower highs, increasing bull volume and looking to change the trend. So momentum is definitely shifting over the past 2 weeks. It was a long drawn out spring and start of the year for these names that ran in January. They've been consolidating for months ever since. But the past few weeks, the bulls are showing back up and ready to keep going. This is CNNRF. And looking at this chart right now, I'm curious why I put this here, but I'm sure the daily chart will show me very quickly. So we have our low down here of 604. And the bulls are trying to bounce after a new all-time low. And the daily chart, so this is why I put it here, just as almost a bottom fishing play. Same thing, lower highs, lower lows. We broke some lower highs, and now we form higher low, lower high. This is an equilibrium pattern that broke bullish Friday. So if we can see a bull break of 746, the next resistance is up here at 880. So there is some potential upside after that, and that would be the start of this trend change on the daily. I like tickers that have a lack of previous history, and that's something you have to look up because if it's just TradingView started charting them, then the company obviously existed before this data on TradingView. So you have to look that up. But newer companies that have less price history, when they hit blue sky breakout or if they're near blue sky breakout, that is definitely the most beneficial situation to be in any sector, specifically Canadian or MJ in general. So consolidation, downtrend, actually more than consolidation, downtrend to all-time low, and now just starting to shift momentum. Need another green day on Monday to follow through. NSHSF. So big bullish reversal candlestick on the weekly. It is definitely a volume climax, and the bulls are trying to turn around, and definitely looks news related. So this is one that I would go and check to see what the news was on Friday. Big high volume. I'm sure there's more volume on a Canadian name. Another detail that I'd want to look into if I like the chart setup. So anything under 498, and this is a penny stock, anything under 498 is a lower high. So we're not looking to change the trend anytime soon. This would just be a name that I look at and say, all right, what was the news that came out? Can we turn this around because we are at the all-time low and trying to see some bounce? So personally, if you are less comfortable as a trader and looking for, you want to go with the trend. So there are names like, and this is in a downtrend. So I would skip this name if you are just looking to, and this name as well, CNNRF. If you're just looking to be in names that are already strong and in uptrends and turning things around and don't have a ton of resistance, that I would go with the trend and pick stronger names. But these two names, CNNRF and NSHSF, those two names have a decent risk to reward from a turnaround if we get a turnaround from here, but the bulls have a lot of work and a lot of proving to do. CVSI weekly time frame also changing the trend, and there's a key resistance approaching. This is why I want to watch this one. Look at this resistance of 9866, and we might as well call that $1 psychological, but it rejected the price twice now, and we're approaching it on increasing bull volume If we get over this level, there's not a ton of immediate resistance nearby, and the bulls could see some nice follow through. So let's look at it on the monthly, just because we've been in this range for so long. We can see the monthly chart had a bounce attempt. It ended up almost like a bear flag. But if we get this bull break here, look at the lack of resistance for a couple 100%. So I'm watching very close to see if CVSI can get over that $1 mark. Ideally, I'd like to see a rejection, consolidation, and a higher low form, and then a bull break, because the bulls have used a lot of momentum, already running almost 100% the last 3 weeks. So I would prefer some consolidation. We can see the daily charts in breakout mode. I would want to see a loss of the higher lows, losing 64 cents, to let us know that weekly consolidation is coming. But this is a very strong chart. This is the strongest daily chart that we've looked at so far. It's just a little overbought. The bulls have been running now for 3 weeks in a row. But again, real tight pattern, clear bull break and follow through. I want to get those tight patterns and play those bull breaks. KSHB weekly chart. This is one that broke out and is near the all-time high. I would pretty much consider the all-time high 477. And again, I would have to go back and double check and see, is that just when it got listed here, or is that the legit all-time high? But we have the range to be watching on the weekly time frame. Just changed charts by accident. But on the weekly time frame, that's the broad range that we're watching. And let's just magnet those up so they're the exact price levels. And what I see here again is just a consolidation after a breakout of lower highs and lower lows. Then we formed our higher low and we broke the lower highs. So now we're going to look for the bulls to continue with higher lows and higher highs, with key support being 441, and the bulls need to break 580 followed by 609 to be heading back up to that recent high. And the risk to reward potential is great here, because if we get stopped out, if we were to make an entry, 441 stopping out, yeah, that's a pretty solid move, $1, which would be almost 20%. So you wouldn't want to allocate too much capital to that 20% risk. But if we do get this bull break, we're talking another, 40% plus to our recent high. And then if we get blue sky breakout on any individual name, and again, that's why I have a lot of interest in IIPR, so close to its all-time high, is they really run fast, and there's big time gains when those all-time highs are hit. So any name that's close to an all-time high is certainly one to be keeping an eye on. And KSHB just showed us the last 3 weeks where we ran $2 up to $8, a 400% move in 3 weeks. And even if you only capture a portion of that, you don't need to nail the bottom and you don't need to nail the top. You get that middle 200%. That's a very solid gain, and you should be very proud of that. So don't feel like, if we have the opportunity here for 400% gains, we don't need to be, we can wait for the odds to shift a little bit in our favor and give up a little bit of profit to ensure that. CANN. Again, another one, huge breakout, long drawn out consolidation. Bulls said, all right, we're done consolidating. That's our new higher low of support. And we topped out at resistance. So after the size of this move, we're going to be looking for a higher low to form on the weekly time frame. This is a potential little bull flag type of consolidation after the significance of that candlestick. That one bull candlestick took back over 2 months of downside action. So the daily time frame, again, a little lower high, lower low. Now we have our higher low. The bulls are trying to break some resistance, first one being 450 and the next one being 507. Key support is 385 and 360. So I like these nice tight patterns and going to be watching them into this week to see if we can see these tight patterns break bullish and see some continuation. POTN, also another one that broke out and is seeing long drawn out consolidation. Always love that this consolidation has already taken place because it was due after that breakout. We're not ready for the bulls to show up yet, but this is one that we want to watch for when the trend changes and when the bulls are able to break lower highs. So we did break lower highs here once and there was no follow through. We didn't get 2 green days in a row, but I'm looking at these major resistance levels. First one being 3,355, next one being 3,8, and then the next one 413. And our only support's down here at 285. So this is one to just keep on watch. We do not want to be making any entries here. As far as consolidation goes, it's essentially a falling knife of consolidation. We have to see a break of the lower highs. That's when we get interested. So a lot of these other names have already done that, but not the case for POTN. And we need to be watching for it. It's just the name that I'll keep on my list in front of my computer. And twice a day, I'll check in on it. Say, all right, where are we, now that 2 hours in the trading day are done, and where are we heading into the close? And just watching to see the positioning, and because it will change and we will break and get a 20%, 30% opportunity once these lower highs break, but there's no indication that that's happening anytime soon just yet. TGIFF weekly consolidation, nice little equilibrium. So I'm looking at our high and our low of the pullback, high of the bounce. So that's our lower high, higher low, lower high. Current range I'm watching is 3.6 support and resistance is 5.8. Still a lot of range in there. Let's look at it on the daily for more details. But tightening equilibrium, again, another one that I'm going to keep on watch, and I'm going to watch and play this equilibrium break when that happens. And that might be 2 weeks from now, but I just write it down and keep it on watch. And that's how we let the trades come to us and don't feel over anxious trying to get into these trades before they're ready for us. MPXEF. So this is when the setups start to get a little like, and that's because we had the same kind of breakout, long drawn out consolidation, equilibrium, actually not an equilibrium, just broke the lower highs. But the amount that we pulled back, we pulled back and gave back almost all of that breakout. And then we're seeing a bear flag pattern right now. A little 3-day bounce, weak, and we drop down to a lower low. So this is much more of a bear reaction than the bulls would like to see after this kind of breakout, giving back all of those gains. And support right now is 5737 and then down to 561. Resistance, the bulls are going to have to break 633 to try and be making it back. I just don't like the magnitude of the pullback and the lower high and lower low. I would like to see, a few days of consolidation to establish a higher low, but then the bulls heading back up to the mid-70s, which obviously didn't happen. So that's the reason that MPXEF marks the part of the names here in the video where I shift to not really liking these setups, but just want to make people aware of these companies and these tickers to keep an eye on them if they want to. So another one with the weekly chart, clearly in a downtrend. We've only got one support level of 5459 relevant here, and resistance is at 88. That's the range to be watching here, the daily time frame, clear lower highs and lower lows. Worth watching when the trend changes, but there's no indication of the trend changing anytime soon. GBLX, another one. Well, this one's not looking too bad. There's a lot of previous price history still back there, but we had the long consolidation. We broke the lower highs, and now we're pulling back. So this one actually I would put on the other side here because we do have the trend change and just scouting for the higher low. There's no indication that the higher low is being found just yet. 5.7 is our current support, and we need to form a higher low compared to 4.5. But the fact that we got the bull breakout and now we're looking for that higher low means we can be paying attention here. So not too bad of a setup. LHSIF. Did I just do this one? Did. EHVVF. Some of these tickers need to change because they are not easy to remember. So here, I don't like this one just due to illiquidity. It's a 5-cent penny stock. The volume here is not significant, and I can tell when there's this many Marubozus and not many wicks and not many variations in the shape of the candlestick, I can tell it's not very liquid trading. This is the daily chart, and it's just a slow, steady, drawn out, no interest. I don't have any interest in this chart or this name, and I'm not even going to look anything about this company up because of the way its chart looks. So again, share structure, debt structure, dilution, convertible debt are the most important things to learn about if you are looking to invest longer term. Learn those things, then look at company fundamentals and the financials that back them up. Otherwise, you cannot open the hood and you're taking the car salesman, the used car salesman, you're taking his word on everything. EVIO, weekly time frame, breaking the lower highs, long drawn out consolidation. So this one's in line with the other ones and still in a bit of an equilibrium. So this is actually one to watch as well. Over to the other side. So the daily chart, the range that I'm watching right now is support of 105 and resistance of 185. Nice range within there and some decent enough volume to trade it. It's about $200,000, $300,000 of trading volume a day. Would certainly like to see it more along the lines on the breakout when we had closer to $600,000 a day. But definitely factor that in when you choose the position size of what you're trading with. So we have our high, low, tightening range, and maybe our lower high here at 171. So now the range is 105 to 171 to be watching. This is one, again, check in every couple days, every day, a couple times, and wait for that break. TRTC, I don't like the reverse splits here. I've been following this company for 6 or 8 years, and we're in a pretty big pullback on the weekly chart. The weekly chart broke the lower high, saw a breakout, and then we had reverse split. We dropped all the way down. And again, it's just poor debt structure, poor share structure. They max out their authorized shares. They have to do a reverse split. It just dilutes shareholder value, and it's continuous. I've seen companies driven into the ground because of poor debt structure. So I don't like TRTC for that fact. I will never invest in it. Maybe I'll trade it, and I have traded it. I think last year I did trade it, but never would invest in a company with financials like this. I don't care if they are, I don't care about their fundamentals if their financials don't line up. So 210 is support, resistance is 348, and there is definitely trading opportunity in there. That bounce that took place did take us 210 to 346, so a 50% plus move. There is opportunity there, but again, as a trader and not as an investor. So I'm done talking now. Now I'm going to go through and write down the top 3 or 4 names that I want to be watching this week, and I suggest you all do the same. This is just a jump off point for initial USMJ company research. We have GWPH, IIPR we've talked about before. I made a video 2 years ago about GWPH. Just a ton of information out there, and we need to stay organized and have a game plan because there's going to be a lot of opportunity and a lot of ways to make money approaching. And as long as we have a game plan and execute on that, that can certainly help rather than just blindly throwing darts. I appreciate you watching. Hope you have a good night. We'll see you soon.